Live. We're going. Yeah, brilliant. And
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's been a great journey setting this up and getting to the point where I can handle going this going live with so many people over a week or two, and really excited to discuss this, what is often a banded about topic of neuro well um it's emotional intelligence, but what is neurocreativity? And that's what I'm sort of bringing, this idea of this neurocreativity piece of whatever you want to recognize yourself as in a unique wiring. We have the ability to recognize what we're creating in any moment from being aware of our emotions, feelings, thoughts, beliefs, habits, and choosing, even if we're looking back and going, what did I do that for? Or or all these opportunities to choose differently if necessary, or carry on doing the same thing if it's working and making things better. So I'm really excited to introduce Reeve here. We've been on a journey of discovery in terms of what's possible to create collaboratively, as well as passing other skills around and seeing what lands. And things have certainly been landing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, in this world of neurodiversity, and whether or not someone wants to identify again with like neurodivergence or neurodiversity, neurodiverse, or um, neurospicy, or don't like that word at all and like this one, or the diagnosis piece, which is important in so many ways if it's necessary to move forwards, and that's okay too, and or not suspecting anything, or suspecting something and not knowing, and all of these pieces of the puzzle of who we are and what we can create in the world and making it happen as neurocreatives. And learning leadership is this sense of, I'm doing this, or I'm acting and putting things out there with my actions. And then there's creativity, which is, what am I getting? What am I playing with? And all these kind of ideas. And I just want to introduce Kay as well at this point, because I've held the tension a little bit, and and deliberately
Feeling
I'm ready to talk. I want to talk. And I just want to give the opportunity, first of all, for the first question to leap straight in, and it's an opportunity to share what your journey with it too, and a sense of what's a favorite topic overall that's not necessarily about business or life, but it's something that is has a passion for you, as to why you're doing what you're doing in your life and business, and how and why that's important, and what's occurred for you along the way because of it.
Yeah, I mean, wow, loaded question, Rory. Love it. Loaded question with so many potential answers. Like, I could be talking about my gardening or my painting, which I very rarely do these days. But I think for me, it always had to been the thing that I loved, had a passion for the most, that led to where I am today. It was being a mum. It was being part of a family, having my own family, and all the challenges and the trials and tribulations that came with that, along with all the fun and the rewards and the successes. So,
Oh, that's lovely. That's really lovely to hear. And when you notice that, what does that what why does that drive you in what you do today?
I think because I recognised um, the pain and the suffering that particularly my son went through. And I saw it as all pain and suffering that was resolvable with mindset shift. but it was finding the way to help him create that mindset shift when I wasn't at that time an expert. So we reached out to numerous other experts and various fields, and we still ended up in the same place with him suicidal and depressed. And then it was how I transformed my life and my journey and my career after finding a way to help save him. After 12 years of still being suicidally depressed, finding an answer and a root cause and a solution transformed my life off the back of helping him. So it was just recognizing at that point I then got something that so many other people were missing, and I'm like, what do I do with it? I could have just put it in the cupboard or back of my mind and just said, that's it, we've answered our problems, but what about everybody else? And I'm the sort of person who likes to share, and I like to help. I don't like to impose or interfere or say you've got to do this, but if people want my help, I like to help, and I had the answers. So yeah,
I have the
leaving that in
answer.
suspense.
Wow, that's really cool to hear and really heartening as well. Thank you for sharing. Um, with this sense of we're getting going to get into the this emotional intelligence piece and for neurocreatives navigating our feelings for flow, creative flow. This terminology is often banded about. But what does it mean? And so this is the topic that we're looking into, but from a space of again coming from a space of if I'm just adding extra flavors into this now to be able to then go again from your journey, Kay, the the this neurodivergence piece, if you resonate with that or not, or what you how you I like the unique wiring because then it's like how you feel you're wired in terms of your nervous system and emotional systems, um, and the way you see yourself at this current point in your life. What's your favorite self-care piece
Wow.
that you go to every single time?
Yeah. And that unique wiring is such an apt phrase because we are all different, and it is all neurological wiring, nervous system wiring. And it's so perfect for describing that. I love that. But for me, what calms my nervous system the most or helps me to get through some of those more challenging times in a day or a week, or like recently I've moved house, my daughter moved house, my son moved in and out, and then I moved house. And if we want to challenge the nervous system, try moving house, and especially with a disability as well. So yeah, how did I manage through all of that? And I think one of my key ones on a day-to-day basis under normal circumstances would be mindfulness. Having that ability to, first of all, overall, clearly my big topic is the emotional awareness. But amongst that is once I'm aware that my emotions are going out of sync, is having that mindfulness to recenter and come back to a neutral point before making the next decisions. Although in more stressful situations, then I think the one that's always coming back to is some kind of planning, whether it's making a very simple to-do list or a forecast. But, there's always a way, but between the mindfulness and the planning, but the mindfulness is the one that I use on a day-to-day basis in the moments, and to make sure that I bring my nervous system back to a calm space before taking the next steps.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing. And there's that sense of um, even a word can mean so many things to different people. So when like hearing about mindfulness or meditating, some those that have faster minds find it's like how is that even possible? It's not me to be able to be mindful. I'm not necessarily we're not going into how to as such right now, but it's really important to bear in mind where you're at and what you do, and how that helps you. It's just to encourage that it we have abilities to be able to get better at whatever we focus on. So even if we're not so good at that thing, there'll be a way to do it. And so within that mindfulness approach, I'm going to throw five different words at you and see what lands for you the most. That when we're mindful of these, when we're mindful on a topic, rather than trying to be just trying to clear the mind, because that can be trying too difficult when there's something coming up from our minds. It's like must do about something about it. It's difficult to clear the space. And that's kind of what mindfulness does is little moments is to open the space up. But I'm curious as to what lands for you here when you are being mindful of one of these powers that we have as humans, where that judgment can go away uh,
If you
for
ask me the
self-awareness.
power, can I
Huh?
just feedback on a bit when you said about the faster minds? Because I
Yes.
think that's a really key point to pick up on. In that I've got ADHD as well. So although I talk about the parenting and journey with my son, I've got a mind that races 90 miles an hour. Now, sitting down and meditating, I find very difficult. But for me, mindfulness is something that I found that once I've learned the techniques and strategies and the multiple different ways of using mindfulness, I can use my mind at fast speed to tap into that mindfulness very quickly. So it's not about necessarily taking 5 minutes to an hour. It's something I can literally do in a couple of seconds. And it is about all those emotions that are running off, bringing them back in, almost like herding them back and cuddling them and just giving them a moment to settle. So mindfulness does not exclude a fast mind. It can actually work really, really well.
Brilliant, love it. Thanks for sharing, and I appreciate the interjection there. Yeah, so there's there is five powers we have as humans that kind of stop us from judging ourselves or others in that moment, even if it's just for if it was just for a second or two, like you just said, that when we are in that sense, there can be no um upset in some way, shape, or form. Just even if we're upset whilst we're doing that, we won't be aware of being upset because we'll be focusing on that power. And so, I just my curious question is, I'll say them back and listen out for what lands for you as to which one is not just most exciting for you or most valid for you that you go to, but also is the one that is where the growth is for you. To focus on it more over time would help you. And so I'm going to share them now. So let's have a listen in. The first one is empathy. Notice how that one is. Then we've got curiosity, and then there's creativity, and then there's navigation. And so that is the sense of what's truly important and going somewhere with with that sense of drive to make the longer game rather than just so the navigation is what am I doing now to get me there over there and what's important about that and then activation to just get into action on what you want to create. So when you hear those back, which one for you is most prominent in your life right now?
I think for me, the most prominent one is the empathy. Because that very much goes with what I do as the emotional awareness expert. And being a mum, dealing with a child who is suicidal. I mean, he's 31 now, so he's okay. We were more a success story. But the empathy skill was the bit that I kind of had there, but didn't know what to do with it for a very long time. So it was always there, the empathy. But it's one thing to feel those emotions from someone else and another one to know how to handle them. But for me now, having learned that process and found solutions, I've turned it into a strength instead of a weakness. So, and a lot of people, instead of being like you feel the energy, but it becomes a stressor or a negative, like watching the news, or you feel other people's pain, but you absorb it, which we don't want to be doing. it's learning those skills through to a point I can feel other people's pain emotionally, but support them without absorbing it for myself. And that has become a massive strength for me over the years, and definitely a skill that requires practice and learning. Not something you just switch on one day suddenly, but it can all be learned. So that is definitely my strongest of the five.
Fantastic. Amazing. Love it. And yeah, yeah, you answered very much about that sense of sensing into discerning what's what's being taken on and what isn't, which is so it's so important. Um, that I believe too is what I had to learn a lot about in terms of what I was creating based on how I was reacting to my own thoughts rather than anything externally. I would forgive a lot instantly and not judge. And that was my automated approach. But what I didn't realize was it's just this really harsh belief about myself that I didn't realize was happening or just didn't know that how to navigate it in in so many ways. Um,
So it's interesting because what you're talking about when we do that, in I've had all that rejection sensitivity dysphoria and lots of other things and fear of conflict, etc. over the years, lots of fears, and we lean into coping strategies rather than learning strategies. And the more I've discovered learning strategies, the more it's reduced the need for the coping strategies and eased all the emotional overwhelm that goes with it. And as well as obviously, I've seen that a lot in what I've taught with my own family, children and grandchildren. Now I'm even seeing it in them, as well as obviously clients. But it's definitely learning strategies overcomes coping strategies, 100%. So yeah, good one.
Oh, I love that. That was great. That was the golden nugget. Notice that, everyone. If you whatever you're getting from this as well, highlights, comments, shares. As soon as we have a realization and we declare it immediately, whilst we're in that thought, that power, we build that thought. We neuro creately, creatively. Build more stronger bonds around those processes. So declaring it out, if it's important to you, it'll be important to someone else. And thank you for sharing that. That was great. That was like, oh yeah, love that.
Thank you.
And um that leads on to the penultimate question. Um
We didn't answer the second part of that one, did we? Because there
the
was
second
also the weaker part, wasn't it?
the weaker part
You,
of
you said about the strongest one and the one that didn't sit so strongly. Did you want to know that one as well?
well, I've say go for
Okay,
it, go
sorry.
for it.
I thought when you asked that question, it was a two-part question.
Oh yeah, and what
That
does
was
it
fine.
Okay, and it's yeah, it's part of like ho- um how that helps you. Well, in fact, in a way, we can lead in this next question. Well, you can talk about it in that respect because they all sort of build on each other. So, there's the idea of neurocreative leadership is this sense of um the creative brain when it's being creative is very open and messy in so many ways. It's just, stuff flies about. It's trying stuff out. It's in the moment. It's spontaneous. So intuitive pathways. And then on the other side is leadership being, this is what I'm doing with this information right now, and I'm asserting it in some way. It's like a motor. I'm making it happen based on what I've discovered to what I'm putting out there. And so this creativity and leadership, when they come together, when they're managed well, um, I see a sort of balance in that approach to sort of open and then closing, opening and closing in some ways. So based on that idea, what potentially what you've just shared as well, what you wanted to share from the last question, even how does it what does those concepts mean to you, and how you show up and what you do in your life to create and lead?
Yeah, interesting. Because the answer that for me like made me go, the moment you went through the 5, was navigating. I know you've already experienced, I've got very poor navigational skills. And that's not just in a vehicle or walking, but it can be when I'm trying to navigate processes as well. And I kind of get lost in the process, like trying to set up a business can be overwhelming because there's lots of processes to navigate. And for me, that has become a big weakness. But what we can do when we have a weakness is we can compensate it with strengths. So this is the second golden nugget for me, is my other skill that I have is organizing. Like being neurodivergent, I very much want to control and organize things. So when I learn to use the right organizational skills to offset the weaknesses, that can almost become a power. And it's only when I can't get them in place that I end up with a little mini meltdown or something. For example, if I want to go somewhere in the car, I would organize by planning my route, making sure I go onto the map and drop the little yellow man on and do the pre-walkthrough. And I have to almost over-plan and then make sure I've got a navigation system in the vehicle that is going to get me to where I got to go. I can't just look at the map and then go off and drive. But very much the same as with business. And I've just been on a planning session this morning with another contact of ours, Vanessa Mary, bless her. And as much as I keep taking steps with a business, I've certainly found with your support and with Vanessa Mary's this last year that I've been able to keep going back to the planning. So planning isn't something we do once and then follow through. We have to keep repeating the planning processes for lots of different things. So I found with me that I've had to build a strength to compensate my weaknesses. And when we learn to do that, we actually end up with skills that surpass other people sometimes when planning an organization. And then we also know that when we feel those overwhelming moments and things are a bit out of sync, okay, what do I need to do to go back to the planning board and start whether you are comfortable to rebuild the motion to move forward again. So,
Amazing. I love it. That's great noticings. Appreciate you sharing. And um, what I was getting from all of that was the sense of the three step kind of really general kind of thing is this sense of reflecting, what am I learning, trying it out in action, and then resting to recuperate from the energetic process of looking after healing, not thinking about it or doing anything, and then coming back round, and that helps to then recycle the the reflect the learning, like you just said, the learning strategy rather than just the coping strategy, and
yes.
and the reason why I brought that up as well was now that we're coming to the point where after you've shared all of that, this is all about, the talk is in terms of emotional intelligence for creative flow, as you've heard yourself bring up these challenges and bring up the strengths and all of that stuff. What would you say your unique value proposition or thing that you bring to the world is based on your skills and strengths and that creates best results?
Yeah, for me, it is the emotional awareness is where I absolutely put my skills and support in others. Because when we're talking about emotional intelligence, it's like saying literary intelligence. It's something you have to learn. The opposite of learning, or in the event of emotional intelligence, the complete opposite is emotional dysregulation. And I know certainly with neurodivergent communities, or individuals, the emotional dysregulation is the fact that we find it much harder to learn and understand emotions inherently from people around us. Or very often, when we are in younger years, we are surrounded by people who were also neurodivergent, had exactly the same difficulties, and we've been subjected to their learnings, which also had neurodivergent challenges, and they may still be undiagnosed, unaware, in denial, whatever phase they're going through. And so it's just this inherent dysregulation that we pick up over the years or don't have the right nurturing and support to overcome it. And so for me, the awareness in the middle is helping to raise awareness of what those dysregulated emotions look like, helping people to understand their core emotions. And then what we do from there is going into regulation. So we learn strategies that turn that, like I was saying, coping strategies into regulation, active regulation of emotions. And then from there, once you learn about your own emotions and learn to regulate them, then we start to recognize them in other people. Because it's like we're brought up in a world where we're expected to understand and support and nurture everybody else. But how can we when we haven't understood ourselves first? Like, if I didn't know I was a human being, how would I know you were a human being? So it's basic awareness to begin with, that just not taught in education system, not taught in families. And when we pick up that awareness, it brings those empathy skills in on the back. And the more we learn the empathy skills, the more we can then see that in other people around us. And that then leads into emotional intelligence, which then precedes the higher levels like leadership and the higher empathy levels, where people can literally sit and hold space for others rather than be the one in that dysregulated space. Okay.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really important to notice that it's not just about like for instance, I'm passionate about the idea of forgiveness, of just automatically forgiving. But if I
Mm.
hadn't didn't slow it down, I couldn't necessarily. I was automatically forgiving other people rather than and then being upset. There's so many sort of steps and parts to to slowing down. So what you're sharing there is this sense of just that awareness muscle
Mm.
is is so important before just going into making meaning, even if that strategies may be quite strong. If it's quite strong, there's still leaks and in power and gaps in the person's life because they haven't gone back to like, you know, reading the alphabet or studying the alphabet or looking at a etymology and dictionary to be able to become more fluent at writing or whatever it actually is. If there's a like just we jump automatically to doing what we know with the best of our abilities rather than like coming back and going, let's just yeah, I really appreciated you sharing that. Yay.
Huge topic on its own as
Oh,
well.
yes. Oh, yes. So just to wrap this up for now, there's what have you got that if people are interested in this emotional awareness, what have you got that people can find out more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my website is probably a good place to start, and I've got some workshops coming up. Although the next one's fully booked at the moment, so the one after that at the moment is in March. But yes, so unless I can put a couple of extra tickets on this next one, be when they're available, they're available. So yeah, my website is kreeve.co.uk. And then from there, you can find the links out to Eventbrite, to my workshops, books, courses. There's plenty there. But definitely with regards to learning the emotional awareness and becoming aware of those core emotions, the workshop's the place to be. It's free and it's 4 hours. So it's an intense one, but it's very, very in-depth, but not difficult. So it's in depth, but it's very, very easy to follow. It's just follow along the lead of what I do. And yeah, you come out of it changed. Nobody sees the world the same after they've been on that workshop.
Yeah. Amazing. Love it. Well, we'll have that in the on the dashboard of the summit and anyone who's listening wants to delve into that, then we'll have all the details further in registering on the dashboard for the rest of the talks. There's this all everyone's there's all these hand-picked experts specifically for their passion and purpose in how they're showing up to help others with their unique wirings in so many different ways and whether it's healthcare or wealth care or stealth care as I like to call it, the holistic fitness, I'll be talking about what that that model is for me when I'm interviewed in my own summit coming up. So yeah, yeah, there's a hashtag if you're watching and you want to click on to find out and watch other ones. And there's this finale event on the 9th of uh, February coming up on Monday evening in UK time. There's a LinkedIn event, but also reach out and give us a wave just for the actual summit sign up. We'll be in touch. And thanks for listening and watching. And we're just going to round off with what did you get from this conversation, Kay? What was the most prominent thing for you?
Wow. Yeah, I think the five powers was a really good question in, being able, it just being able to answer it in a way that fits me. I don't know. And the golden nugget that came out of it was surprising because I didn't realize we were leading into that. But yeah, absolutely love the questions that you've put out today, because without the questions, I wouldn't have come back with the same answers. So well done, Rory.
Thank you, Kay. And I got that gold nugget of the learning compared to the
Coping.
coping.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a topic we can delve into further in May on NeuroCreative Leadership Live Empower Flow 2026 as well. So that's where we're gonna develop more deeper, longer trainings and awesome talks. So look out for um, yeah, our other talks and um, amazing expert knowledge that's coming about. Like any questions, feedback, highlights, just yeah, share away, and we'll be in touch if you want to be in touch. And that's the call to action. If you feel it, then take it. It's for you uh, to be in touch with Kay. If there's anything resonates, if there's anything that resonates from what I've been sharing, then reach out as well. And if there's, you probably aren't watching this if right now, if there wasn't some kind of call to action of some kind. So just notice what that is, because when we have a calling and we take action, that's what it's about. And that's not just a marketing term. It's literally if there's a calling for something, there's the opportunity to explore with our wisdoms in action. So thanks for watching NeuroCreative Leadership Live pop-up summit. Surprise. Hopefully that was great for you and looking forward to feedback. Much love, all the best, and take care.